Hello, hello, hello. Christy here for our last day. Shrink your waistline and expand your mind. I jumped on again a little bit early today. I hope you don't mind. I'm just going to orient my screen a little bit. There we go. So yes, I wanted to jump in again just a little bit early to get myself organized, to make sure that I could show up for you on time, and to check in with you to see who's going to be joining me today. And again, to find out from you what your aha moments have been so far. It's our last day together. It's our last kind of opportunity to experience our final 2 archetypes of our 6 archetypes. I love all 6 archetypes. I think as I started to really dive into the research around the uniqueness of each of our body types and the way that our hormones present themselves, it became even easier for me as a therapist to be able to work with my clients, right? And hopefully, if you've been watching these, you understand that statement, in that the more that I became to realize some of the dominant personality traits, and with those dominant personality traits, some of the self-sabotaging behaviors that are fairly common, I don't label my clients, and I certainly don't want to label them creating kind of my own storyline of who I think they are. But what it has allowed me to do is, in some of my clients' responses, especially when I'm really meeting them for the first and second time, what I'm able to do is I'm able to identify, okay, I'm starting to get an understanding as to some of the potential hormone dominance that I'm working with. And because I'm getting a better understanding as to some of these personality traits, I know how to communicate more effectively. I also have a better opportunity for me to receive the information. Now, as a coach and therapist, we learn to receive information, to actively listen, and to develop rapport, regardless of what our client has to say, so that we remain objective and we don't, we're able to compartmentalize our feelings to some extent. And we don't judge, we don't criticize, et cetera, et cetera. But it still gave me this added set of tools, if you will, to understand my clients on a deeper level than I would have had I not have done this research. So it also helps me to expedite results a little bit, because once I'm able to get to know you, the client, that much better, and on such a unique cellular level, if you will, then I can meet your needs so much faster. And that's what I wanted you to learn from this as well, is that, you know, if you're in a relationship with someone and some of their personality traits irritate you, right? I mean, this happens when we're in close proximity to people for long periods of time, especially in an epidemic, you know, or as we get to know somebody and the honeymoon phase is over, we start to recognize characteristics that before we may have ignored, which now just seemed highlighted. And if you could understand some of those characteristics and why they have them, then again, we're just a lot more tolerant. So I'm going to go ahead and begin. Thank you for joining me. I do see that some of you are here. So today we are going to be discussing our last 2 archetypes, which once again are polar opposites of each other. And this is the Endomorph, who is our mama bear archetype with the strongest and most durable body type, and the goal-oriented, dopamine-driven Miso Ectomorph. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let me just change. There we go. There we go. Fantastic. But before we get into, of course, those 2 archetypes, I'm going to go ahead and give you a summary of what was taught yesterday. And yesterday, what you learned was you learned about all of the resources that you have available to you. Oftentimes, the concern that my clients have is kind of twofold. It's a lack of clarity as to what they're supposed to do. You know, we talked about all of the different diet plans, and we went through 21 of the main diet plans, which all of the other ones tend to originate from. But there's still 21 different choices if you exclude all of the other ones out there. We didn't even talk about all of the different exercise plans, right? You've got high intensity interval training, you've got low intensity interval training, you've got long, slow distance training. Like, you've got a variety of different activities outside of weight training, outside of cardiovascular conditioning. You've got sports performance, which takes into consideration both, you know, running and plyometric training, the speed, agility, and the quickness needed for something like soccer and hockey and basketball, for example. So with the variety of different activities and the variety of different nutritional plans, a lot of us really don't know what to do. And because we don't know what to do, we lose consistency, we lose focus, we lose motivation, and that reduces our energy level. That kind of sets us again in that spiral of, you know, I tried this, I tried that, I tried the other thing, nothing works for me, I don't know what to do. And my job, my goal was to show you that there is another way for weight loss, and that there are very specific, unique tools that help you, the individual, address your psychology and address your physiology. So that's what we learned yesterday. We also learned about how the Weight Loss Accelerator program is a 16-week journey. You are going back to school. This is not for the faint of heart. If you're not willing to invest your time, your energy, and your money into yourself, then that is okay. But then this program is not for you. However, if you're willing to invest your time, your energy, and your money, this program is for you. Okay? It is all about you seeking the opportunity for permanent weight loss. It has a system that's designed to provide you with as much personalized information as possible so that I can coach you and can make accurate recommendations so that you can be rest assured that you're taking action that will actually improve your health status, not cause you to end up with a low functioning metabolism, 6 months down the road. With weekly accountability, we're going to help to keep you on track, allowing us to work through overwhelm and discomfort, because we know when we become unfamiliar with something, we tend to want to sabotage ourselves so that we can go back into that place of familiarity. So on a weekly basis, we're going to be getting back together so we can talk about some of the feelings that are coming up for you. There's also flexibility built into the second half of the program, which is the weight loss part of the program, as well as information sessions using the latest and greatest psychobehavior techniques. There are 2 online subscriptions, one being an online subscription for working out so that you can work out from the comforts of your home, as well as the second being the personalized app. And they're designed to help you to achieve your permanent weight loss goals. Now, I mentioned that you can enjoy a savings if you go ahead and sign up before Sunday, 11:59 p.m. That is this Sunday coming up. If you register right away, or you go ahead and book a call with me to ask any additional questions that you may have. Now, yesterday, we also went through, it was 10 rules of the mind plus a bonus. So 11 rules of the mind, where you learned how to tap into your subconscious mind to work for you rather than against you, and how your current word choices impact your experiences, and how you absolutely must make unfamiliarity familiar if you want to transform to achieve permanent results. This is the biggest hiccup we have. I would say, 85% of you, maybe even 90% of you have said to me that inconsistency is your problem. Well, inconsistency is your problem because you haven't made consistency familiar. And making consistency familiar on your own is not working for you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here right now, right? That's right. So I offer you the support, the tools, and a system to help you to create permanent weight loss. Now, for today, we're going to be talking about the true endomorph, and the combination of two somatotypes, the Miso Ectomorph. These last two archetypes are the last of our 6 unique body types. So getting into the endomorph archetype, they have a body composition and they're considered the mama bear. So they're the ones who always put the needs of her family first and whom you never want to go into battle against, because their body composition, as I started to say, is larger in bone structure, larger in muscle mass, and they just tend to bear more tissue mass. So they're naturally stockier and have broader chest than their waist. They're typically more apple-shaped with a medium to tall stature with thicker fingers, wrists, feet, neck, and head. Now their dermal layer in utero was the endodermic layer, which is responsible for the development of the digestive system, the metabolism, which includes the liver, pancreas, and thyroid, as well as the lungs. So I'm just going to check in with you really quickly. I'm going to refresh. Tell me who's here so that I know who has joined me today. And of course, if you've got any questions, feel free to ask them along the way. I'll try and do a better job of checking in with you than I just have, so that I can try and address your questions a little bit faster as we move through this one. So let's go ahead and get into the personality traits. So for the endomorph, some of their unique personality traits are that they're a mama bear that's blessed with ample amounts of oxytocin and prolactin. Prolactin meaning being their main dominant hormone here. So these are the hormones that are responsible for connection. Prolactin is the most dominant hormone produced in the pituitary gland and has a couple of main functions, including lactation, mood stabilizer, regulates metabolism, and plays a role in immune system function. Endomorphs' main traits are trustworthiness, reliability. They are committed. They demonstrate the concern for others and their appreciation for close-knit relationships and deep connections. They make excellent parents, partners, and friends. These archetypes are intuitive and can tell when people don't like them. They are laid back, dependable, they love deeply, and are lighthearted. The safety and care of their loved ones are of the utmost importance to this archetype. So endomorphs tend to follow or enforce rules. Hey, Wendy, it's good to have you here. Thank you for being here. Again, if you have any questions along the way, don't hesitate to ask. As I mentioned, I'll try and refresh a little bit more often just in case I can catch any of your questions. So from a health status perspective, when we talk about an endomorph's mental health in terms of what helps them with their mental well-being, what benefits them most is being around people. They enjoy hosting gatherings and dinners. Their mental health, however, can be challenged when around negative people, as they're sensitive to words, body language, and tone of voice. From an exercise prescription, their health benefits most with 30 to 45 minutes a day of regular aerobic-based training. Their cardiovascular intensity, however, should not exceed 70% of their maximum. So this is endurance-based training, long, slow distance type of training. Activities like cycling, hiking, brisk walking, and swimming are most recommended. Now, due to joint discomfort for their body type, high impact exercise like running is actually not suggested. As this body type is naturally strong, incorporating strength-based exercise or play into the routine is essential, where the foundation of their strength can be found in their legs. So activities where they're using their legs as a form of fitness is typically where most of their strength is, most of their power, I should say, not necessarily strength, but most of their power lies. So something rugby, weightlifting, powerlifting, stuff like that. So if we look at their diet, their dietary consideration should include a high volume of vegetables and low processed sugar. They need the phytonutrients found in the vegetables to actually maintain their energy sources. This archetype is susceptible to metabolic issues when diets are high in processed foods, sugars, and refined flour. The endomorph body type are actually have a higher propensity or at higher risk of diabetes, fatty liver, and other effects of metabolic dysfunction when they do not follow a healthy eating plan and lifestyle. These body types can and should go hours between meals to allow for complete digestion. They have a much more efficient digestive system, so they don't need to eat as frequently. Less animal protein is best, with a focus on consuming large quantities of vegetables. One vegetarian diet, preferably at night, is recommended, and this is to help them to store the energy for the next day while also not consuming a whole bunch of processed sugars or simple carbohydrates. Eating with others is very important, as eating alone can stimulate overeating behavior. So take note of that, because one of the self-sabotaging behaviors for this archetype then is overeating when they feel like they have this sense of aloneness. The endomorph does best following a nutrition plan where they're supported. So having the family involved in meal planning and in meal preparation and the sitting down to eat together is one of the great ways that this particular archetype will stay consistent. So if some of you lack consistency and you feel like you fall into this archetype, there's an excellent tip for you to help to improve your consistency. They should also eat their highest food at breakfast time and their lowest volume at dinner time. So remember earlier I talked about at nighttime, at dinner time, it should typically be vegetables, right? A vegetarian diet at night, so that they can use the vegetables as a form of energy that they can store to help them the very next day. But their biggest meal of the day should be at breakfast. And that is so that if they are consuming sugars, that they have the whole day to burn the sugars, so that when they go to bed at night, they're not storing any sugar in the form of fat, right? They don't have this excess sugar in their bloodstream. Also take note of this archetype should not snack and should stay away from sugar and high to moderate glycemic index foods, because they have a natural affinity for producing insulin and are more susceptible to high blood sugar levels. Now, from a career standpoint, this career type should consist of routine and stability. This archetype is very steady and self-regulates very well, which means they have an ability to handle pressure and stress really well. They think things through, they weigh out the risks and take their time in making a decision. Their natural talents include caring and looking after others. They make excellent laborers, soldiers, are dependable and reliable employees as a whole. Limitations include their physical speed in the form of their agility and speed in making decisions. They're not as quick to move nor in coming up with immediate decisions. Quick check-in. Once I share my screen, I actually can't see you on my regular computer, which is why I have to have this over here. All right, so no questions so far. Excellent. So let's go ahead and move on to the environment. So when we're talking about the endomorphs environment, they tend to overheat. So they prefer a cooler environment with fresh air and a cool breeze. They prefer minimal moisture and humidity. So fall and winter seasons are actually a little bit more preferable to hot summers where the summer may be humid, clammy, that sort of thing. When we're talking about their unique preferences, when we dive in just a little bit deeper, this archetype is the most selfless of all of the archetypes. And as a result, they're actually known for hoarding to respond to crisis. So these are the people that tend to hold on to possessions. When stressed, this archetype are known for overeating. So I mentioned that before. And not as a result of wanting to feed themselves, unless, of course, they're feeling like they're alone. So we know that there's a propensity for them to overeat when they're feeling alone when they're eating food. But if they're going to overeat, the predominant reason for them overeating is because they feel stressed that their family is not safe. So they tend to want to feed themselves, but in order to consume the energy to endure the rigors of protecting their family. Now, they may not know that. So if you're part of this archetype and you recognize that you've got overeating behaviors, I want you to start to recognize, is the stress related to stress that's happening to you, like external factors happening to you, or is it a result of external factors? Sorry, I'm in day 3 of Tony Robbins. My mind is like shot. But external factors happening to others that you're then internalizing as your own stress. That's a really important question. So I want you to think about that, okay? Now, this archetype can work 12 hours at a time in laborious tasks and do well in high impact sports like rugby, football, and powerlifting. But remember, speed, agility, and quickness is a little bit more problematic because they're not quite as fast in speed or agility. They have to train for that, but they have the power in their legs, so they can do this. Now, for them, their Maslow's hierarchy of needs, their list of priorities starts with social environment first, where their family is safe and nurtured, then food, fitness, place, mind, and career. Now, listen up. The career needs to fit nicely with the dynamics of the family. So if you're in a career that requires you to do a lot of traveling and you're away from your family and you find you're not happy with yourself, start to see if you can make a connection with the potential gap or disconnect between the career choice and the situation with your family. The environment at home and office may include memorabilia and conveniences. Remember, we talked about hoarding before, to ensure that their family feels safe and loved. So, you know, hoarding doesn't necessarily mean the house is dirty. It's not like that. It just means that their artifacts in the home tend to be those that are memorable to them, tend to offer convenience for their family as well. So the endomorph takes time for themselves. When they do that, that is actually when they have the best results for weight loss. And the reason is because when they're willing to make themselves a priority, it's because they have a perception that their family is content and safe. When their perception that their family is stressed, and then they won't make themselves a priority, then they don't have the same efficiencies in weight loss. So this particular archetype, although they demand immediate results when starting to work on a health plan, one of the biggest components that I have to work on is their understanding of their family dynamics and whether the family is safe or unsafe, and what they can control as the mama bear and what they can't control as the mama bear, and working on their own personal well-being while guiding them through weight loss. And guess what? Part of the Weight Loss Accelerator program is all psychology, 8 weeks. So we can all work on our self-sabotaging behaviors, because there's no point in trying to lose weight when we're just going to sabotage ourselves, right? Why not heal the wounds? And while we're healing the wounds, guess what happens as a byproduct? Weight loss, energy improves, but we're not going to put a major focus on that yet until we've worked through some of the gaps, right? I know, brilliant, if I do say so myself. All right, let me just check in with you real quick, and then we're going to go ahead and move on to our last archetype, the Miso Ectomorph. All right, fantastic. So let's go ahead and move on to our last archetype. Let me know your thoughts about the endomorph. Do you know any endomorphs? Are you an endomorph? Do you resonate with this? I know some of my clients who are endomorphs, and there's a lot of body shame I find there's a lot of body shame that happens with all of us, please. My ectomorphs struggle with gaining weight, and they have a lot of self-confidence issues. My endomorphs struggle with losing weight, and they have a lot of self-confidence issues. My ectomorphs have a lot of self-confidence issues because they can flux and they don't kind of know, who they are in terms of identity sometimes. I talked about my endomorphs, but the one I'm going to get to next, my Miso Ectomorphs, tend to be extremely driven, but so much so that they're actually not really aligned with what they really want. They lose kind of the bigger picture because they're so just driven in one particular area. So the Miso Ectomorph has a primary dermal layer development of muscle and nervous system. So they have a medium build and are not too tall or short in stature. They have medium bones, limbs, fingers, and muscles, and they tend to have an oval face. Now, although they can get super fit and strong, they may be challenged to gain weight and build high amounts of bulk. They often make for great distance runners, but their downfall tends to be that their spine is not super strong. So we always want to make sure that we pay close attention to some of the stability, mobility, and strength in their spine. Now let's get into their personality traits. Due to high dopamine levels, so this is where the focus comes into play, okay? They're very focused, driven, and goal-oriented, which is fantastic quality, by the way. They're logical, independent, and are typically found in leadership positions. They are very self-reliant and skeptical of information when the information is not quantified. They're committed, perceptive, and helpful with intellectual matters. They're also adaptable and tolerant of many different situations, making them great leaders, of course, and prefer conversations that stimulate their cognizance, their intelligence. So from a well-being perspective, let's talk about their health status. The Miso Ectomorph mental health benefits most from focusing on personal missions and objectives. They're able to work with others, but need to ensure that milestones and targets are met. So they're very task-oriented. Being in control of a project is recommended for these types of archetypes so that they can sustain that mental well-being by ensuring that those milestones are met so that they don't get overstressed. Because their primary hormone is dopamine, the feeling of success is extremely important. They also need productive surroundings to feel accomplished and motivated. Now, from an exercise prescription standpoint, this archetype prefers steady rhythmic activities such as running, cycling, and swimming. Fresh air is a necessity because they can actually get headaches from spending too much time indoors due to carbon dioxide. This archetype may include strength training into the routine. However, as I mentioned before, they need to adequately warm up and work on some integrated mobility for their spine when looking to lift weights. And strength training should consist of high intensity interval training, drop sets, superset circuit training, and calf plyometrics. And I'll get into why they need to work on calf plyometrics in just a moment. From a dietary standpoint, eating small to medium-sized dishes, including snacks, is recommended. So again, notice they've got more meals that they're eating per day. So intermittent fasting does not work for this archetype. Again, these people will get hangry or will find that they can't have that same amount of focus that they're accustomed to. Planning their meal is essential though, because they often forget to eat due to the laser focus that they have. So it's almost like, if they do or they don't, right? They need to eat the meals in order to stay focused, but they sometimes forget to eat the meals because they're so focused. Mineral rich foods and animal-based protein are part of their diet. However, when they eat meat, the meat should be cooked really well and should easily fall apart. Roasts, ribs, and meats cooked in a slow cooker actually are best for this archetype for digestion purposes. Now, they're low in oxytocin and high in dopamine. So food is not considered something that's pleasurable. In fact, it can be a nuisance to them. Remember, I talked about when they get really focused, they forget to eat, or they ignore their hunger pangs in order to try and get like a little bit more done. So food is considered a nuisance, and being hungry distracts them from their goal. Now, due to their steady state ability at being able to sustain longer steady state exercise, they should be consuming higher carbohydrates and fruits. This archetype, however, listen closely, should avoid caffeine, alcohol, drugs, and processed sugar, because this can be really toxic on their body type. Now, caffeine, alcohol, drugs, and processed sugar are toxic, period. Okay, and you're going to start to see more research coming out about reminding you, because it's actually been out forever, that alcohol is a level 1 carcinogen, just like tobacco, just like arsenic, FYI. However, for this particular archetype, it's a little bit more toxic on their system. They're not able to metabolize it. From a career standpoint, the Miso Ectomorphs are highly driven and are willing to sacrifice a lot to see a project through, at times, though, to the detriment of their family and their own health. They would make excellent teachers, speakers, and motivators. Careers as entrepreneurs, a role in management, or politics would be excellent options for this archetype. Now, their limitations or their opportunities is in their willingness to sacrifice themselves to achieve the desired outcome of their mission. They can be obsessive over their progress and will follow a rule unless they decide it doesn't make sense or doesn't serve their greater purpose. Just going to check in with you. Okay, so let's talk about their environment. For the Miso Ectomorph, these archetypes prefer a warm climate as they're sensitive to cold. They tend to do best with fresh air. Remember, I talked about that because the carbon dioxide actually can cause headaches in indoor environments. Good quality sleep is best for these archetypes because they actually need to power down. But a big tip for these archetypes is, in order to not ruminate throughout the evening when they're trying to sleep, they should do something as part of like a power down hour where they're reading or doing some gentle yoga or other relaxation activities of this nature. Even going for a 2-minute walk, listening to a metronome set at a tempo of 20 beats per minute is recommended. So you don't necessarily have to go outside if you're in your jammies getting ready for bed. You could even just kind of walk your hallways. Don't pace, but just walk your hallways. And as you walk your hallways, start to coordinate your steps with the sound of the metronome at 20 beats. And that's going to help to bring your heart rate down. That's going to move you into a parasympathetic state. That's going to help you to change your brain waves from that critical thinking in towards that relaxed kind of subconscious rapid eye movement direction frequency of our brain waves. Now, when we talk about their particular characteristics, their priority for hierarchy of needs is the mind first, followed by career, environment, fitness, food, and then social being last. So while they enjoy the company of others, their primary needs is to challenge their mind and they have this deep DNA requirement to seek purpose, and they find that in their career. Okay, so if they're extremely driven, that's just part of who they are as a human being. That has nothing to do with them not loving their spouse, their children, that sort of thing. They require detail and accuracy. They're skeptical by nature and do very well in endurance-based events such as marathon running, since their ability to tolerate lactic acid is actually relatively high. So in tolerating lactic acid, what happens is, think of turning on a tap, okay? And right now you turned on the tap full force and the water's going down the drain. Well, for most of us, the water starts to build up in the drain because the force of the volume of water coming from the tap down the drain can't take in all of the water simultaneously. So it starts to fill in the basin of the sink. Some of us can't remove lactic acid as quickly. The Ectomorph, which is me, we can't tolerate the lactic acid quite as well. We can't buffer it quite as well. So our sink tends to fill up quicker. A lot of the other archetypes, the sink starts to fill up, not necessarily as quickly as the, I can't come up with my words today, the Ectomorph, but the Miso Ectomorph can drain the water in the basin so quickly that they can just go so much longer, okay? So they don't like feeling wind. And one of the interesting things, and I want you to think of somebody who you think would fit into this category. They're the ones who tend to wear scarves, hoodies, or turtlenecks because they don't actually like the wind on the back of their neck. Do you know anybody? As soon as I understood that, as soon as I learned about that, I'm like, oh, I can name like 3 people off the top of my head who would do this all of the time. And they often tend to steer clear of fans and open windows. Because this archetype is so emotionally stable, they actually tend to come across sometimes as unemotional. An interesting characteristic for this archetype is they tend to have skinny calves. Remember I talked about in their exercise prescription that they should do some calf plyometrics? This is because they tend to have skinny calves. They also tend to be narrower through their rib cage, but can gain weight in the midsection if they gain weight at all. So let's go through a summary of our final 2 archetypes. I resonate with the Endomorph. I actually know what archetype you are. You are not the Endomorph. But I understand what you're saying because your archetype has characteristics of the Endomorph, but also has characteristics of the Mesomorph. Any guesses? See if you can put that in the comments. Characteristics of the Endomorph, but also characteristics of the Mesomorph. Who are you? So I'm going to go ahead and summarize these last 2 archetypes. I really hope you've enjoyed this and that you've learned more about yourself. This just, honestly, I love this every time I do this. So while the Endomorph puts family first and career last, the Miso Ectomorph has a high regard for their career, but their social outputs are last. This of course, is not to say that the Miso Ectomorph are not amazing contributors to their family members or great parents. It just shows the polarity between the 2 archetypes based on their hormones. The Endomorph uses food to feel comfortable and at ease, while the Miso Ectomorph uses food as a necessity and often feels burdened when having to leave their project to come to eat. The Endomorph has very strong, sturdy legs and frame, while the Miso Ectomorph is built with slimmer legs designed for endurance and speed and lacks the durability in their spine. The Endomorph's primary hormone is prolactin, which is the exact opposite hormone of dopamine. The Endomorph may hoard their possessions, while the Miso Ectomorph actually prefers clean lines and simplicity. The Endomorph prefers cooler climates, while the Miso Ectomorph actually likes hot climates. The endomorphs should eat 3 meals a day, with their largest meal at breakfast time, consuming low protein and no carbohydrates at dinner. So remember, ideally, it's a vegetarian dinner, vegetarian type dinner for dinner. The Miso Ectomorph can eat 5 times a day, where 3 meals include moderate amounts of carbohydrates. They can also consume 2 snacks a day. Now, celebrities with the endomorph body type include Rebel Wilson, Melissa McCarthy, and Oprah Winfrey. The faces of endomorphs tend to be more square or round shaped, like Meghan Trainor. Celebrities with the Miso Ectomorph body type include Angelina Jolie, Taylor Swift, Cindy Crawford, and Gigi Hadid. Sorry. Body frames are typically rectangular or V-shaped with oval faces like Jessica Alba. So, what do you think? How has this 5-day journey for you been? Have you been able to identify yourself in one of these archetypes? Have you been able to release yourself of the shame and guilt, knowing that there's so much that you may have learned and researched? Like the 30 years of research that I did, where for a very long time, I was training people the wrong way and training myself the wrong way, both in meal planning and exercise prescription. And I've got all of my degrees. I offer international presentations. I've worked with thousands upon thousands of clients. Now, have I been successful? Yes, I've been successful. Have there been failures? Yes, there have been failures. Could there have been more successes than failures had I known what I know now? 100% yes. This is for all of us. There are over 5,000 different variations of weight loss strategies and recommendations that have been made. All 5,000 have proven to be unsuccessful. How many different weight loss strategies have you tried using? How many different devices have you purchased? How many apps do you have? How many ways of exercising tools do you have at your disposal? You could go onto Google and you can find a free meal plan, you can find a free exercise prescription. But if you don't know about your unique archetype and really dive into your uniqueness, which by the way, fluctuates depending on if you still have a menstrual cycle, depending on your stress levels, depending on the season of the year and the food sources that are available to you. When you start to really dive in and understand what's best for you, that is when you can thrive. When you understand what type of career types are best for you, why you're not happy, is it possible that the career choice you made, that you had these self-imposed expectations as to why you accepted that career choice, that it doesn't align with the health benefits that you would get if it aligned more with your family, if it aligned more with the environment that you lived in? Isn't this stuff just so fascinating to know that you are 100% in control of your happiness? Now, yes, stuff is going to happen to you. It is wintertime here in Canada and in other parts of the world where we have cold weather. You know, BC's going through floods and experiences of climate change that they've never had before. You know, other countries are doing the same thing. There are definitely circumstances that are happening to us, but the majority of the circumstances, we can control what we're going to do about it. And this is your opportunity just to learn more about the controls that you have at your fingertips. So I really hope that these 5 days have been exciting and offered you really precious foundational information about who you are as a person and what you may have been doing incorrectly that hasn't served your health, that now you have the opportunity to change. And not, as mentioned at the beginning of this workshop, it was my purpose to offer you a snapshot of the kind of valuable information that you'll get when working with me if you register into my Weight Loss Accelerator program. In addition to promising you that you would come away with a better understanding of your unique archetype and self-sabotaging behaviors. Now, if you're part of my VIP list, then you're going to be getting an email link to register for the program. As I mentioned, I'll go ahead and add that in the comments on Facebook as well. And if you could go ahead and complete a survey for me, please, 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 so that I know how I can do a better job in serving you, I would love that. The more that I understand how you're perceiving this information, the better it will be for me. And if you'd like to be included in my emails in the future, then you can go ahead and feel free to opt in. I will give you that link as well. So one last time, I would like to say to you, here's to showing up for you. Have yourself a fantastic morning, day, evening, wherever you are in this world. Bye.